Hey, it's Katrina. Today I'll be covering some crazy conspiracies from the ice. From an entrance to hollow Earth in Antarctica to a giant ice wall at the end of the world. So put on your coat and gloves because some of these stories will have you frozen with curiosity. The homeland of the primeval ones. There are ancient texts in Egypt that might just prove that Antarctica is where everything started. And by that, I mean it might be the place where the original pyramids were constructed and civilization began. These texts can be found within the Edfu Temple, one of Egypt's most sacred buildings. They mention a mysterious island known as the Homeland of the Primeval Ones. And as the story goes, this place was destroyed by a sudden, catastrophic flood. The Edfu texts describe an ancient creation myth. Two powerful gods came down from the sky, and the first place they established is called the Island of the Egg. Now, this island is said to be the first piece of solid land to exist on the planet. It's described as being in the center of the eternal lake. On this island, there were three groups of people: the builders, the sages, and the Shebtu. The builders likely did as their name suggests, and the sages were likely the keepers of wisdom and knowledge. But the Shebtu? They were far more mysterious. Unlike the others, the Shebtu are said to have emerged from the water. What that really means, however, is unclear. Were they mermaid-like beings? Could they lie above and below the waves? Nobody can say for sure. The texts then go on to say that after these groups were created, gods came down from the heavens and built the very first temples. These temples, according to some, may have been the blueprints from which all other pyramids in Egypt, or the Earth for that matter, were designed. After these creator gods completed their various tasks and created the world, the texts claim that they gathered at their big bird before shooting off into the sky. But not all of them left. Sounds like this so-called big bird might have been a spaceship of sorts. So, were these gods actually aliens? Maybe. The ancient Egyptians believed wholeheartedly that what's written in these texts are 100% true. They believed in the island, the alleged homeland of the primeval ones, and they believed that after several generations, a terrible fate befell the island. The creator gods that chose to stay behind, the ones who survived this great catastrophe, passed on their work to the other survivors, the non-gods, and after that, they disappear. The Edfu texts allude to there being some type of war going on. The armies belonging to the gods are said to be led by a falcon god. According to the myth, this falcon god battles an enemy that's represented by a snake. This enemy snake appears in the skies and is referred to as the Great Leaping One. And as soon as it showed up in the heavens, it ushered in a time of darkness for the people of Earth. It triggered natural disasters, floods and earthquakes that obliterated this sacred island of the gods. By the time the floodwaters finally receded, these gods, called the Elder Ones or the Ancient Ones, had been defeated. Some believe that this enemy snake could be referring to a comet that struck the planet and caused devastation in its wake. Others think that maybe this Great Leaping One was the description of a deliberate attack. Perhaps it was a nuclear bomb or a missile that targeted an otherworldly civilization that once existed on what we now call the Antarctic continent. This may seem a bit of a stretch, but if you were going to try and erase all traces of an ancient and advanced civilization, you'd have to do more than just attack it. You'd have to completely bury it. You'd have to make it impossible to find any remnants, like burying it under hundreds of feet of snow and ice. It shouldn't be surprising to hear that long ago, Antarctica was once a tropical place filled with forests and brimming with life. This has now been proven by scientists. There have also been rumors of other strange things beneath the snow, like pyramids and other weird structures. Mainstream scientists will tell you that these are nothing but natural formations, carved by erosion. But ancient alien theorists and others like them ask, what if they're wrong? What if the Temple of Edfu has held the truth all along? What if Antarctica is actually the location of this Island of the Egg, where the first pyramids were built and where civilization was jump-started? What do you think about this wild connection between Egypt and Antarctica? Let me know in the comments below. The Icy Pyramid. In the cold landscapes of Antarctica, a mysterious structure stands tall, piercing through the ice. But what is it? It's a mysterious pyramid visible under layers of frost at the Ellsworth mountain range. Since its alleged discovery, the pyramid has fueled a whirlwind of conspiracy theories. But why would anyone think that there's a pyramid in Antarctica? Pyramids are usually associated with places like Egypt, Mexico, and Peru, places with warm climates and rich histories of ancient civilizations. Finding a pyramid in Antarctica is both thrilling and confusing. People started buzzing about this when Google Earth images showed what looked like a pyramid poking out of the ice. But is it an ancient civilization's masterpiece, or something even crazier like an alien construction? What's really going on here? To answer that, we have to turn to the detectives of Earth's mysteries, geologists. Professor Eric Rignot from the University of California says it's just a mountain that happens to look like a pyramid. According to him, pyramid shapes in nature aren't impossible. He points out that many mountains have one or two pyramid-like faces due to erosion. Geologists believe that the shape of this specific mountain is a result of hundreds of millions of years of natural processes, not ancient builders. But what do you think? Dr. Mitch Darcy from the German Research Center for Geosciences gives more details. He explains that the pyramid is actually a nunatak, a peak of rock sticking out above a glacier or an ice sheet. So while it looks like a pyramid, it's really just nature doing its thing. The Ellsworth Mountains are full of rocky peaks popping out of the ice, making this pyramid-shaped structure less unique than it seems. Okay, so if there's nothing out of the ordinary, why do people still talk about it then? Even though experts have debunked the idea of an ancient pyramid, the mystery surrounding this mountain is still fascinating. The mountain, located in the Heritage Range, stands at 4,150 feet. This area is known for its historical wonders, including fossils that date back over 500 million years. It's like the ultimate time capsule. Mauri Pelto, an environmental science professor, finds a silver lining in the conspiracy theories. At least they're thinking about something, he says, hoping that people might learn a bit about geology in the process. And now for a quick break, because it's shout-out time! I want to give a big thank you to Georgie Too Good for the generous super thanks. We wouldn't be here without you. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family. The fate of the Antarctic snow cruiser. Antarctica is a tough place for vehicles. It's an extremely remote, icy, and brutally cold land where machines often struggle just as much as people. Over the past century, many vehicles, from motorized sledges to four-wheelers and tractors, have tried to conquer this frozen continent. Some designs were downright wacky, with the most legendary failure being the Antarctic Snow Cruiser. The Snow Cruiser was a massive, tricked-out vehicle that was built for the 1939-1941 U.S. Antarctic Service Expedition. This mission, led by Rear Admiral Richard Byrd, aimed to establish research bases and strengthen America's presence in Antarctica. Thomas Poulter, inspired by a close call during a previous expedition, designed the snow cruiser as a mobile base to safely navigate the icy terrain. So why did it fail so miserably? This giant vehicle, 56 feet long and 75,000 pounds heavy, had many innovative features. Features like retractable wheels and treadless tires to prevent clogging. However, these smooth tires quickly got stuck in the soft snow. The crew found that it worked better in reverse, but even then it wasn't much help. Ultimately, the snow cruiser was converted into a stationary base because it couldn't effectively travel across the ice. When World War II started, the expedition came to an end on December 22, 1940. The snow cruiser was abandoned at Little America 3. These were a series of Antarctic exploration bases on the Ross Ice Shelf. Subsequent expeditions found it buried in the snow, and by 1958 it was well preserved under the ice. In the early 1960s, it likely floated away on an iceberg that broke off from the ice shelf, eventually sinking into the Ross Sea. Today, its exact location remains a mystery. The theory suggests that it rests on the sea floor amid other remnants of Little America 3. That's not the only theory, though. During the Cold War, there were some rumors floating around that the snow cruiser was taken by the Soviet Union. Why would they want a non-functioning vehicle? Well, that's a good question. Maybe there were some secrets stashed on board the snow cruiser that the US thought would stay buried under the ice. Or maybe the Soviet Union took it just because they could. Or maybe the vehicle really is resting on the sea floor. The truth is, nobody really knows what happened to it. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. This is perhaps one of the biggest mysteries to ever happen in the mountains. On January 23, 1959, 10 hikers set off for a winter adventure through Russia's Ural Mountains. One hiker, Yuri Yudin, had to turn back due to health issues, leaving 9 to continue their journey. They planned to send a message to their sports club by February 20th, but when no word came, a search party went out to look for them. What happened next is so strange and bizarre that everyone still wonders, what actually happened? Over several weeks, the search party discovered the bodies of the first 5 hikers spread out over the snow. They were in various states of undress and had strange injuries. One had even bitten off part of his own knuckle. Months later, after some snow melted, the remaining 4 bodies were found with even more bizarre injuries. One had a fractured skull, another a twisted neck, 2 were missing their eyes, and 1 was also missing her tongue. But what in the world could have caused these injuries? The Dyatlov Pass incident, named after the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov, has sparked numerous theories ranging from natural disasters to secret weapons testing and even Yeti attacks. Despite many theories, the true cause remains a mystery. The hikers were experienced and their trip seemed well planned. What was even more strange was that when the search party found the hikers' tent, it collapsed and was covered in snow. The hikers' belongings were inside, undisturbed, with food sliced up as if they were about to eat. The tent had been slashed open from the inside, indicating that the hikers cut their way out in a hurry. But why? The first 2 bodies were found in their underwear near a fire, suggesting that they tried to warm up but succumbed to the cold. Others appeared to be trying to return to the tent. All 5 reportedly died from hypothermia. This can cause erratic behavior and paradoxical undressing, where people feel hot and start removing clothes despite the freezing temperatures. The remaining bodies were found later in a snow den. 3 had severe injuries, 1 had a skull fracture, and 2 had crushed chests. The missing eyes and tongue could have been the result of scavenging animals, but if that was the case, why did they leave the rest of their bodies untouched? It really makes you wonder if something else or someone else was to blame. Now let's get into the theories. The official investigation conducted by the government of the Soviet Union concluded that the hikers died from a compelling natural force. But speculation about a government cover-up persisted. This was especially the case when traces of radiation were found on some of the hikers' clothing. Some suggested that this could have been linked to a nearby nuclear incident that occurred 2 years prior, but not everyone was convinced. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the case, suggesting a slab avalanche theory. They proposed that a slab of snow slid over the tent, causing the hikers to flee in a panic. This might explain their behavior, injuries, and the tent, which was cut open from the inside. Subsequent research in 2021 used mathematical models to support the slab avalanche theory. However, experts still debate its likelihood given the gentle slope of the area the tent was located. The final verdict? The Dyatlov Pass incident is still one of the most intriguing and unsolved mysteries to come out of Russia's Ural Mountains. While this slab avalanche theory is definitely possible, the exact events of that fateful night in 1959 are unknown. What are your thoughts on this mystery? Let me know in the comments. The ice wall. What lies beyond the edge of our world? According to flat earthers, there is a massive ice wall in Antarctica that they believe holds some fascinating secrets. They say it's a colossal 150-foot wall of ice guarding the edge of our known world like a frosty bouncer at an exclusive club. Anyone thinking of Game of Thrones? Maybe the show got some of its ideas from this unusual theory. The origins of the theory can be traced back to Sir James Clark Ross, a British naval officer and polar explorer. During his 19th century expedition to Antarctica, he allegedly encountered this imposing ice barrier. Imagine his surprise when he realized that getting past it was as likely as sailing through a solid rock. Sir Ross claimed to have spent months sailing around this icy fortress, trying to find a way through. But in the end, it was as unyielding as a teenager's mood swings. Flat earthers believe that this ice wall is hundreds of feet thick and extends vertically over 164 feet above the water. They think it surrounds Antarctica, forming a natural barrier that no one else has ever been able to cross. So, what's beyond this icy giant? Good question. The answer, according to the theory, is a big mystery. Is it more ice, a hidden paradise, or maybe a winter wonderland full of bizarre, never-before-seen creatures? The only thing certain is that it's a no-go zone for humans. Now let's break down the wall itself. The theory states that it's not a single continuous wall, but rather a series of ice walls divided by trans-Antarctic mountain ranges, which can reach up to 11,500 feet high. And this ice isn't just sitting pretty, it's constantly being pushed out to sea by glacial pressure, creating what flat earthers call the ice wall. Why can't we explore beyond this wall? Flat earthers argue that the extreme cold and perpetual ice make it impossible. They even claim that temperatures might drop to absolute zero, making it far too dangerous for any human or machine to venture further. If you're planning a trip, pack an extra pair of mittens and, maybe rethink your destination. It seems like the flat earthers should just get on a plane and fly over and find out. What do you think? Large wave anomaly. In early 2024, a mysterious underwater irregularity was detected off the coast of Antarctica. A weather mapping system captured a massive wave anomaly between the White Continent and southern Africa, not once, but twice in a month. This, of course, triggered an avalanche of wild theories dreamt up by imaginative internet sleuths. So, what exactly happened? Listen to this explanation and tell me if you buy it in the comments. A meteorological app called Ventusky, run by the Czech company Inmeteo, spotted a giant wave abnormality on April 10th. Internet detectives went wild, speculating everything from alien activity to secret underwater bases. But hold on to your tinfoil hats, folks! Ventusky's spokesperson, David Prantel, explained that it was just a model error. Yeah, right. Ventusky collects real-time data from various sources, including the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Despite this, another anomaly showed up on April 25th, with waves over 80 feet high at its peak. This time, the anomaly had a crescent shape, unlike the solid round blob from earlier in the month. David Prantel reassured everyone again, saying it was the same data error as before. The glitch came from Germany's National Meteorological Service, which supplies data to Ventusky. They claimed to be working on fixing it, but that didn't stop the conspiracy theories from spreading. The channel Into Thin Air wasn't buying the error explanation. The creator speculated that it was some sort of energy pulse or frequency-type weapon. On TikTok, someone pointed out that the waves moved in different directions from the middle of the crescent. This hinted at the possibility that something had either dropped or imploded underneath the waves. But what do you think? Despite Ventusky's efforts to calm the storm, pun intended, many internet sleuths remain skeptical. Ventusky even posted on X, saying that a large number of people still don't believe that the huge waves off Antarctica were just an error. Instead, he said they prefer UFO theories. I mean, what if that blob really was a UFO gliding under the water? It would make sense that Ventusky wouldn't want to be the first to admit it, but what's really going on? While Ventusky insists it's just a data glitch, the mystery has captured the imagination of many. Whether you believe it's a simple error or something more sinister, I think we can all agree that something strange is happening beneath the waves. The death of Rodney Marx. It's been 24 years since Australian astrophysicist Rodney Marx mysteriously died in Antarctica. Marx, a bright and cheerful scientist, was working at the US-run Amundsen Scott South Pole Station when he suddenly fell ill. He then died within 30 hours on May 12, 2000. So, what happened to him? Initially, Marx complained of nausea to the station's doctor, but his condition rapidly deteriorated. Oddly enough, essential tests were not conducted, and Marx passed away in what journalist Stephen Davis described as a stunning fashion. Did he end things himself? Many who knew Marx strongly disputed this theory. He was popular, loved music, and had just met the woman he planned to marry. Also, if that were the case, why would he report his symptoms to the doctor? New Zealand police tried to investigate. However, American authorities blocked their efforts at every turn. But why? Stephen Davis, who has been digging into this cold case, believes he has identified people with the means, motive, and opportunity for murder. According to Davis, Rodney Marx had always been extremely interested in the South Pole. He was also known for his hard drinking and outgoing nature. Most people head to Antarctica during the summer, when the sun never sets. But during the winter, there are 6 months of darkness, cold, and isolation. When you're at the South Pole for winter, there is no way out. It's a small, contained environment, and strange things can happen. And yet Marx was happy to be there in May. After Marx's death, his body remained frozen until it was shipped back to the city of Christchurch. There, New Zealand coroner Richard McElrea and Detective Senior Sergeant Grant Wormald took an interest in the case. Their investigation revealed that Marx had died of methanol poisoning, a substance used to clean telescopes. But this discovery fueled further speculation. Davis, after years of meticulous research, believes foul play was involved. Yet due to U.S. authorities' efforts to cover it up, the individuals responsible were never identified or interviewed. Antarctica is unique because no country owns it. The Antarctic Treaty governs the land, but there is no police force. The authorities want to maintain an image of pure science, but dark secrets might just lurk beneath the icy surface. Even though he has faced numerous challenges, Davis isn't giving up. He said that there are other people to talk to and different avenues to explore. In his own words, he said, "I'm pretty stubborn. I like to get to the end." And with that determination, perhaps one day the mystery of Rodney Marx's death will finally be solved. The entrance to Hollow Earth. Have you ever heard of Agartha, the mythical kingdom supposedly located in the center of the Earth? If you've been watching this channel, you have. Think of it as Earth's secret underground VIP club, complete with an entrance hidden deep in the Himalayas. Imagine a tour guide offering trips there. Now that would be an adventure. This kingdom is said to connect all continents through a network of tunnels created by an ancient, powerful race known as the Old Ones. These people are way ahead of humans in terms of intelligence, technology, and spiritual knowledge. Agartha is believed to house millions of people and is ruled by a wise king known as the Master. These people supposedly have vast libraries of knowledge and advanced transportation, including flying vehicles. Agartha was once above ground but went underground to escape the chaos of the surface world. Legend has it that Agartha will return when the world is at peace. Sounds like a plot straight out of a movie, right? But I know what you're thinking. How does this tie into Antarctica? Here's where things get even more interesting. There's a theory suggesting that there might be an opening to the Hollow Earth in the icy continent. This theory has been around for centuries and includes ideas like the Earth having a hollow center with layers, different atmospheres, and even its own tiny sun. Many cultures have similar stories of hidden kingdoms or mystical places beneath the Earth, like Shambhala, Xibalba, and Asgard. Agartha often gets confused with Shambhala, which is featured in sacred Hindu texts, but they aren't the same. The modern story of Agartha gained traction in the 19th century when French occultist Alexandre Saint-Yves d'Alvedra got involved. He learned about Agartha from a mysterious man named Prince Harji Sharif. According to the tale, Agarthians are so advanced that they speak multiple languages at once with their 2 tongues. It's like something out of a fantasy novel. And then there's the story of Admiral Richard Byrd, an explorer who supposedly encountered Agarthians during a mission in Antarctica in 1947. According to the story he told later, Byrd's instruments went haywire, and he saw a lush green forest amid the icy landscape. He was allegedly invited to a dazzling underground city by the Agarthians, who expressed concerns about world wars and nuclear weapons. Byrd's encounter, however, is widely regarded as fiction, with no solid evidence to back it up. Unless, of course, you count his own personal journal where he wrote details of that exact trip. But you know, scientists discredit this diary as a fake, or at least just a story. Despite the fantastical elements, the idea of Hollow Earth has some die-hard supporters. Some believe the Nazis fled to the Earth's center after World War II. Others think China invaded Tibet to find the entrance to Agartha. There have even been expeditions to find these mysterious holes at the poles, though none have succeeded. In reality, the Earth isn't hollow, as far as we know. Scientific evidence from seismic waves, borehole data, and geological surveys shows that our planet is solid with layers of rock, lava, and gas. Everybody knows that. While the stories of Agartha and Hollow Earth make for great stories, they don't hold up to scientific scrutiny. Nazis in Antarctica. When World War II ended, wild rumors started to swirl that parts of Germany's military and scientists escaped before the Soviet troops could conquer Berlin. Missing U-boats and secret aviation technology fueled theories about Nazi hideouts and a possible comeback of the Third Reich. Then, in 1946, a huge U.S. Navy operation in Antarctica, known as Operation High Jump, seemed to confirm the worst fears that Nazis had an underground base near the South Pole. This is all alleged, of course. Operation High Jump was supposedly launched to train Navy personnel in extreme Antarctic conditions and to show American strength in the vast frozen continent. Over a dozen ships, several aircraft, and 4,000 men participated. However, the mission ended 6 months early in February 1947 due to terrible weather. But was bad weather the real reason for the early end? Conspiracy theorists have a different story. According to a Chilean newspaper, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, who led the operation, warned that America had to prepare for a new deadly war. He claimed that mysterious flying objects could attack from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Some believe that Byrd was talking about advanced technology from a Nazi base in New Swabia. What's New Swabia? This was a part of Antarctica that was surveyed by Germany in 1938. Remember that Admiral Byrd was the same one who said that he was taken to the Hollow Earth and spoke with the advanced civilization living under there. Theories claim that Nazi Germany built an underground facility near the pole during the war, even though there's no solid evidence. New Swabia isn't always icy and has mountain ranges that are ice-free year-round. With the Nazis' experience in building underground facilities like the Mittelwerk missile assembly site, it's not entirely unimaginable. They could have built a secret base in the Schiermacher Oasis, a region with over 100 freshwater lakes and outlets to the sea. A spot like this would have been perfect for U-boats. But from here, the conspiracy gets even wilder. It suggests that exotic German aircraft designs, hollow Earth theories, and even alien reptilians were involved with the Nazis to dominate all of humanity. So what's the truth here? Did Nazis really build a secret underground base in Antarctica? The official story is no, absolutely not. Or maybe it's just that no evidence of it has been found yet. Mysterious signals and vibrating ice. Who doesn't love a good mystery, especially one involving signals from the sky? In 2011, researchers at McMurdo Station in Antarctica picked up a strange, low-frequency signal. This wasn't just any ordinary signal. It was a persistent wave that lingered in the air above the icy continent, cycling for hours at altitudes between 20 to 70 miles. Scientists were at a loss to explain the phenomenon, wondering if it was aliens, dark matter, or just some atmospheric quirk. So what was causing this mysterious signal? Turns out the culprit is the Ross Ice Shelf, a massive ice sheet about the size of Spain. The ice shelf's vibrations, caused by ice cracking and ocean waves hitting it, are sending ripples up into the atmosphere. It's like the ice is playing a never-ending symphony, and the waves are its music. How did scientists figure this out? Researchers from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, used 2 mathematical models to see how these icy vibrations could reach so high into the atmosphere. They found that even when simplifying the ice as either a smooth slab or a layered fluid, the models replicated the atmospheric waves perfectly. So it's not just a hypothesis anymore, it's a solid theory. These vibrations are so noticeable because, despite being tiny, the low air pressure above Antarctica amplifies these vibrations, making them detectable by radar systems. This amplification is useful because if climate change starts to affect the ice shelf more dramatically, these signals can act as an early warning system. If the vibrations become more intense, it could indicate that the ice shelf is breaking up, which would be bad news for global sea levels. Why does this matter? The ice shelves, like the Ross Ice Shelf, don't directly raise sea levels when they melt, but they do hold back glaciers. If the ice shelf breaks up, those glaciers could slide into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise and pushing coastlines back. So if we start hearing louder vibrations, which could be compared to death screams from the ice shelf, it could mean big trouble for coastal areas around the world. Hopefully you don't live too close to the water. Visiting Antarctica is illegal. Can you visit Antarctica? Is visiting Antarctica illegal? Not quite, but it's not as simple as booking a flight to a tropical beach either. Let's clear up some of the wild conspiracy theories and have a bit of fun while we're at it. First off, Antarctica has no government and no native population, so you'd think you could just waltz right in, right? Not exactly. You need permission from your own country or the country you pass through to get there. Antarctica is like the ultimate no-drama zone. Thanks to the Antarctic Treaty, military activity is strictly off-limits. No military bases, no weapons testing, nada. But countries can use military personnel and equipment for peaceful scientific research. So, contrary to popular belief, Antarctica is not guarded by soldiers with snowball guns. However, it is heavily regulated. For example, the U.S. Air Force provides transport support between New Zealand and McMurdo Station, the largest research hub in Antarctica. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy handles weather forecasting and air traffic control, among other tasks. It's all about keeping things peaceful and scientific down there. Or is that just what they want you to think? Who's allowed to visit? Since it's not owned by anyone and has no government, you don't need a visa. But if you're from a country that signed the Antarctic Treaty, you'll need permission. If you're going as a tourist, the tour operator usually handles this for you, so no extra homework. Why exactly is Antarctica so protected? There are several reasons. Environmentally, it's home to unique species found nowhere else. It's also a natural lab for studying climate change and other global processes. Scientists need this pristine environment to keep learning and making discoveries. Plus, Antarctica's ice sheets help regulate global climate patterns. Simply put, protecting this icy wonderland is crucial for the planet. Let's say you decide to play secret agent and sneak into Antarctica without permission. What happens then? If you're from a treaty-signing country, you're breaking the law. You could get expelled, arrested, or even imprisoned. Probably not the adventure you were hoping for, huh? If you're not from a treaty-signing country, you might sneak in, but good luck having any fun. Without permission, you won't get access to bases, activities, or accommodations. You'll be one cold, lonely explorer. And if you disrupt the peace or scientific work, the treaty allows for you to be detained. But honestly, sneaking in is nearly impossible. You might not believe it, but tourism in Antarctica is booming. In the 2019 to 2020 season, nearly 74,000 tourists visited the frigid continent, and that was more than double the number from just 5 years earlier. With so many visitors, the US even proposed a ban on ships with more than 500 passengers. While not ratified, tour operators have self-imposed this rule. So, while you can visit Antarctica, it's all about following the rules. You can keep your spy gear at home. Thanks for watching! Do you want to visit Antarctica? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around for another video you might have missed.
Hitler's frozen base. In the early part of the 1930s, the German Nazi Party showed great interest in the continent of Antarctica. They were so interested that they sent an expedition to survey parts of Antarctica and claim a piece of it for the motherland between 1938 and 1939. The purpose was to secure protection for the German whaling industry. All Germany really wanted was a piece of the action in the whaling business. All innocent, really. But the places where the Germans went had already been claimed by the Norwegians, and by 1939, they hadn't made any progress. But here's the deal. A lot of people believe the Germans really did claim a piece of Antarctica and that whales were just a cover story. At this time, Nazi Germany was already doing all kinds of covert operations and extreme top-secret weapons testing and all kinds of projects nobody knew about until much, much later in the war. Based on this recorded journey, some people think they built a great secret base there, specifically for Nazi leadership, meaning Adolf Hitler and his cronies. The rumor is that Hitler fled to Antarctica after being defeated in the war and faking his own death. However, the rumors go on to say that shortly after, the United States dropped a small bomb on its exact location and destroyed Hitler's frozen base. That is the only reason there is no evidence of it surviving today. Unfortunately, there is no proof of Hitler ever commissioning an Antarctic base. Some say it's still hidden somewhere on the continent, frozen over with ice. But if that's true, it's such a secret that nobody knows its location. Cosmic particles. There are strange particles flying out of the frozen ground in Antarctica, and physicists don't know what is going on. Physicists claim that there are cosmic rays blasting through the ice and snow of Antarctica. These cosmic rays begin somewhere out in space, blast into the Earth, and then come out the other side. In other words, there is some kind of mysterious cosmic energy source perforating the Earth and coming out through Antarctica. The big issue with this is that according to scientists who use the standard model of particle physics, the particular particles that make up this cosmic ray should not have the ability to perforate the Earth. Only neutrinos with very low energy can pierce miles of rock. The neutrinos scientists have detected in Antarctica are high energy and should never be able to make it directly through the Earth. This has become a bit of a confusing secret down in Antarctica. Researchers first learned of the perforating particles in 2016 when the NASA Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna picked them up. This antenna was designed to detect cosmic rays from space, so NASA was obviously alarmed when the rays seemed to be coming from the opposite direction. There are a few theories, of course, but none of them have been confirmed. Scientists believe it could be some kind of dark matter distributed inside the planet. They say it could be sterile neutrinos, and some even say the energy could be coming from an alternate dimension. An ancient wall. A mysterious ancient wall has been sighted in Antarctica. Thanks to Google Earth, people have spotted what seems to be a huge wall several miles long, encased mostly in ice. Underneath the snow, there is what seems to be a human-made structure surrounding what may have once been some kind of city. It looks like a perimeter wall used in primitive cultures all over the world back when they used to make fortified walls around settlements. Since the wall is over 2 miles long, that would mean that if it really did surround a city once, that city was big. But it gets even more interesting. There also appears to be a pair of pyramid-shaped structures covered in snow and ice. These pyramids have distinct sides sloping at roughly 45-degree angles. They also look to be roughly 80 to 90 feet tall. This suggests that beneath several feet of snow, there are the ruins of human-made pyramids and possibly even more structures. In fact, some have compared the shapes of the pyramids to the Babylonian ziggurat in ancient Sumer, what is now Iraq. But the ziggurat was built over 6,000 years ago. Could it be that the Babylonians somehow made it to Antarctica and built a walled city with pyramids? Unfortunately, there's no way to really know the truth until someone goes there with LiDAR or enough of the ice melts. Only then will we be able to see what's hiding underneath. Noises from the snow. Something strange is going on in the Canadian Arctic. On the opposite side of Antarctica, there have been weird sounds coming out of the ice. Near the small hamlet of Igloolik in the Canadian territory of Nunavut, hunters have reported hearing hums and pings and even beeps coming out of the ice. They say the noise has become such a problem that it's now scaring away the animals and preventing them from being able to hunt. The local government was forced to step in and figure out what these creepy sounds are. So the Canadian military sent a specialized CP-140 Aurora aircraft to do surveillance of the area. According to a spokesman for the Department of National Defense, the crew of the aircraft searched using acoustics and a variety of other sensors, but did not detect any anomalies, either on the surface or the subsurface. However, the crew did spot 2 pods of whales and a small collection of walruses in the area, which they said could be the source of the noise. But the locals aren't buying it. They know what they sound like. They are used to walruses and whales since they have been there and interacted with these animals for a long, long time. The native people are much more in tune with nature than the Aurora aircraft. Instead, theories have been bouncing around about UFOs operating beneath the ice or even underwater. Others are certain there are Russian submarines hiding in Canadian waters. The National Post reported that it could be ice rubbing together that's causing the sound, based on a U.S. scientist working on a project to see how melting sea ice affects acoustics. What do you think it is? Let me know in the comments below. The Antarctic Sea Spider. If you thought terrifying spiders only live in exotic places, think again. In the waters around Antarctica, there are giant sea spiders that will give you nightmares. These creepy 8-legged freaks are ocean arthropods that can reach the size of a dinner plate. These monsters are huge and kind of scary to some people. They also have a unique circulatory system unlike anything else on the planet. They pump blood using their guts. And if that's not already terrifying, just listen to how they feed. The giant Antarctic sea spider feeds using a proboscis, not unlike a mosquito. The sea spider sticks its proboscis into a soft animal and then sucks out the yummy juices. It basically siphons a creature's insides out with a big straw. The spider also has a pretty small body, meaning it doesn't have a lot of room for its guts and organs. All of its important parts are inside of its legs. The giant sea spider also doesn't have gills or lungs, but breathes by absorbing oxygen through its skin. As creepy as it is, the giant sea spider is one of Antarctica's cooler secrets. It's such a fascinating animal, and researchers only recently figured out how its biology worked. They had to bring one to the lab and inject fluorescent dye into its heart, then watch where the dye went. That's how they learned all its gooey organs are stuffed into its legs. Crashed UFO. There appears to be a crashed UFO hidden in Antarctica. At least, this is what a Russian scientist recently claimed in a video he uploaded online. This is a weirder discovery because it was made by somebody with the Russian Academy of Sciences, not just some ordinary guy on the internet. He found the crashed object roughly 1,000 miles from the U.S. Science Research Facility at Ross Island. The UFO is in the southern ice sheet, a part of Antarctica that has been receding in recent years. It was found crashed into a small mound of snow, its black metallic hull revealed only because of the snow melting. It's impossible to tell just how long the UFO has been stuck there in the snow, but the scientists estimated that it landed on our planet several million years ago. There's no way to confirm this, and to be quite honest, it's one of about a dozen supposed UFOs only partially sticking out of the snow in Antarctica. Whether it's the real deal or just another wild guess, only time will tell. And now for number 4. But first, want to give a big shout out to Patricia Riley and Twitcher RNP, who has been with us for a while. Thanks so much for your support and for hanging out with us. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Origins Explained family. Square iceberg. A perfectly rectangular iceberg was recently spotted in the Polar Sea, and it was freaking people out. Pictures of the rectangular iceberg arrived online just a little while ago, and nobody could believe how smooth and perfectly even the rectangle is. It honestly looks like it was shaved by human hands to be perfect in every single way. It's flat, its edges even look like they've been chiseled, and it measures up to within inches of perfect symmetry. But how is this possible in the natural world, where things aren't really designed in straight lines? Kelly Brunt, a scientist from the University of Maryland working with NASA, explained that the rectangular iceberg is actually fairly common. She said there are 2 types of icebergs, the big mean ones that sink ships, and the other ones, tabular icebergs. Tabular icebergs are wide and flat, looking like a squished pancake made out of ice. These icebergs form when they grow too long and crack off the side of an ice shelf, kind of like if a fingernail grows too long and cracks at the end. Because of this, the sheet of ice breaks off from the shelf in an almost perfect rectangle or square. The scientists went on to say that 90% of it is still hidden underwater, and that 90% probably isn't quite as congruent as what's seen floating on the surface. Secret underground city. In the 1960s, the US was all about the polar regions, trying to establish permanent camps both in the Arctic and in Antarctica. They built a lot of secret hubs in both of these places. However, one of the weirdest is a place called Camp Century, located in the middle of nowhere in Greenland, just shy of the North Pole. Roughly 400 tons of machinery were transported to this underground Arctic city in the 60s. There were 21 tunnels carved out of the ice and fitted with corrugated steel roofs. There were staff living inside the facility throughout the year, and constant maintenance needed to be done to keep the base stabilized. And yes, it was exceptionally cold. Camp Century was apparently the first place to be powered by a portable nuclear reactor. The reactor worked for 33 months, keeping the camp's lights on using nuclear energy. However, the camp was abandoned in 1966 and was found wrecked beyond repair 3 years later thanks to the shifting polar ice. Today, there is not much left of this bizarre experiment except for frozen steel girders and pieces of pipe sticking out of the ice where the underground city once was. Oh yes, and the 47,000 gallons of radioactive waste slowly seeping into the ocean from the nuclear reactor. Secret underground cave. An unexplored cave was recently discovered thanks to Google Maps in Antarctica. The entrance to the cave is on a small island, with those who found the magnificent portal saying it could be anything from a secret military base to an entrance that leads deep into the heart of the planet. As far as we know, the cave appeared very suddenly back in 2007, before vanishing just 6 months later, as if Google scrubbed the cave entrance off the map. It literally just vanished, which was pretty shocking since nothing else in the area changed. Additionally, an unusual structure could be seen leading to the cave, looking a lot like a series of steps. If the cave really does have steps leading to it, it must have been built by human hands. The entrance itself, when it was still viewable on Google Earth, looked to be big enough to fit a space shuttle inside of, suggesting it could have been used as some sort of bunker. Unfortunately, like just about everything found in Antarctica using satellite images, there is no way to confirm any theories unless somebody goes down there and takes pictures of the cave themselves. The biggest mystery here is why it vanished from the satellite images so quickly, unless someone important was trying to cover it up. Antarctic slimefish. A mysterious slimefish was recently discovered in Antarctica, which looks a little gross. The critter was found while Expedition Antarctica searched for the weirdest marine life on the planet. Out of all the fish that the expedition came across, this one was the most bizarre. Dr. Andrew Stewart said that when he captured it, he had no idea what species it belonged to. The fish had a color and texture he had never seen before, and this is coming from a scientist who studies marine life. The slimy fish was small enough to fit in the doctor's hand. It was coated in a milky, almost translucent layer of slime, and it kind of looked like a tadpole, and yet it has no name. This isn't too surprising considering we've only explored a tiny portion of the oceans on Earth, only witnessing some of the amazing sea life. This Antarctic slimefish probably belongs to a whole group of weird critters living at the bottom of the ocean that scientists have yet to identify, trying their best to avoid being scooped up in nets. It's not clear how the fish operates or how it lives in the cold environment of Antarctica. It must have evolved over millions of years to get used to the frigid temperatures. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite mystery from Antarctica? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!